Good, happy Sunday afternoon. I'm Riley King, and welcome to Politics with Riley King. Let's begin. Aimed 2020 speculation, Booker draws big crowds in New Hampshire. Let's take a listen to this video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
We were born in New Hampshire in 1850 to help people through the challenges of life. Today, we're still doing that. You've known us as Child and Family Services. Going forward, you'll know us by a different name. Still nonprofit.
Democrats cheered Senator Cory Booker in Manchester Saturday afternoon, celebrating their November victories and perhaps looking ahead to 2020 with a new take on a familiar theme.
The definition of hope isn't that you see some light at the end of the tunnel or something on the horizon that gives you hope. Hope is generated from within.
Booker started his day in Nashua, joining Mayor Jim Donchis and State Senator Cindy Rosenwald for coffee, making an immediate impression with his grasp of Granite State issues.
Who's familiar with what's going on in our mental health crisis, the number of people waiting in our emergency departments, our drug crisis. He's heard of safe stations.
Sitting down for a one-on-one interview with News 9, Booker said he doesn't have a timeline for making a decision about a bid for the White House.
During the holidays, I'm going to sit down and take a lot of stock about what I want to do next, whether run for president or stay in the Senate and help this continued movement in our country to reinvigorate our democracy.
Booker largely avoided the topic of President Donald Trump, saying he's here to talk about bread-and-butter economic issues that matter to everyday Americans.
I think that this is a really painful, difficult point in American history. There's often out of times like these that we've seen the greatest growth, the greatest advancement, and more importantly, I think, the greatest reimagining of America to be the nation that is, we are the dreaming country, the country that dreams bolder and bigger things.
Booker's core supporters in New Hampshire could be dreaming big already. A Nashua house party Saturday morning drew an enormous crowd.
The solutions to national problems always start with individuals and small communities.
Some were making comparisons to a similar event in 2007.
Then Senator Barack Obama did a house party at this same location. The owners of the home say this party was bigger.
We've never seen it as packed as this, and we've hosted quite a number of political people here.
Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Booker says his diverse New Jersey roots form the basis for his calling as a unfurrier. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker hasn't decided yet if he's going to run for president, but says his roots in both a well-do Granite State suburban community and an inner city ward of Newark from the basic for his calling as a unfire. But we will have to wait and see what his decision is. Despite Rep. Shea Porter reflects on 12 years of wins and losses in 1st District as she departs from her position. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
There are so many reasons why Ippolito's Furniture specializes in furniture made in the USA. American-made furniture is constructed out of high-quality solid woods.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you New Hampshire's first female United States Congresswoman, Daryl Shea Porter.
She started by making history, smashing the glass ceiling in New Hampshire's congressional delegation as the first woman to represent the Granite State on Capitol Hill. After 12 years of victories and defeats in the politically volatile 1st Congressional District, Carol Shea Porter is ready to take a step back.
It's a wonderful job, but you are always on the road every 3 days, 4 days. I traveled a lot with the military, so I was away then. I just decided to take a pause. When we say retirement, I kind of choke because I'm not really...
You're not done yet? You're certainly by no means...
I'm going to serve on some nonprofit boards and do some things. You don't just turn away when you are an advocate and care about issues.
Sitting down for an interview that will air on Close Up Sunday, Shea Porter says she's proud she never lost the grassroots activist passion that helped propel her to Washington.
I didn't come to warm a seat, I came to get something done.
In this Congress, she's been an outspoken critic of President Donald Trump, calling for his impeachment. She believes it's something that could happen, but not without a shift among House Republicans.
What do your Republican colleagues say? Obviously, they project one thing on cable news and in their speeches, but when you're talking to them in the halls,
they know.
Are they concerned? Are they worried
They're very concerned, yeah. I mean, not all of them, of course, but yeah, the ones that I talk to, they're very concerned. And most of them really don't like the tone of the president. They don't like him tweeting. They don't like the callousness.
Shea Porter says she'll miss the people, her staff, and constituent service, and isn't ruling out an eventual unretirement to one day run for another office.
We're going to do a little traveling, and then I'll look at everything.
Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And all of us here at the Riley King Network wish her the very best on her next adventures. Secretary Gardner returns to work after winning re-election. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
We were born in New Hampshire in 1850 to help people through the challenges of life. Today, we're still doing that. You've known us.
Secretary of State Bill Gardner has seen just about everything in 42 years overseeing elections in New Hampshire. But even he admits he didn't foresee Wednesday's high legislative drama involving razor-thin vote margins and a second ballot.
It was pretty interesting. I don't think I could have thought up. I never thought about a scenario like that.
Gardner says the victory was a validation, not for him, but for a principle, keeping partisan politics out of the Secretary of State's office.
I didn't want it to be about me. I was just representing a tradition that has been in this office for a long time. And that tradition was being threatened by the nature of this campaign.
Gardner and a majority of legislators took issue with the fundraising and partisan background of challenger Colin Van Ostern, who released a statement Thursday saying he's proud of the race he ran, but, quote, I am worried about the health of our American democracy. Van Ostern made modernizing the Secretary of State's office a central issue of his campaign. Gardner gave a nod to those critiques in a brief speech to the General Court after his win and tells News 9 he's not opposed to a discussion about change.
I welcome a dialogue. Come on down. The doors are never shut in this office. They're open.
If you want a closer look at how yesterday's drama played out, WMUR political reporter John DeStaso was embedded in the Secretary of State's office all day long. You can find his blow-by-blow insider account of the day at WMUR.com/politics. Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Secretary of State Bill Gardner wins 22nd term in office on second vote. They did vote number 1, and then they needed to do another vote because from vote number 1, nothing or no results and no winner came out of vote number 1. Let's take a listen to the video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
We were born in New Hampshire in 1850 to help people through the challenges of life. Today,
40 more years
Speculation about the political demise of New Hampshire Secretary of State Bill Gardner was turned on its head Wednesday as the 42-year incumbent pulled off a narrow and thrilling re-election victory, winning a 22nd term in office.
I was the underdog in this race from the beginning.
In a stunning development on the first ballot, Gardner came out ahead, 208 to 207, but it wasn't enough. The winner needed 50% plus one of the assembled House and Senate, or 209 votes, a one-vote margin, falling one vote short. But Gardner met the threshold on a second ballot, winning 209 to 205.
This was proof positive that politics doesn't and should not play into the Secretary of State's office.
After his win, Gardner entered the House to cheers and briefly addressed the legislature.
I welcome any ideas, even modern ideas.
Gardner's opponent, Colin Van Ostern, was in the gallery for the speech. He later came to the office to congratulate the secretary in person.
I'm really proud that we put a spotlight on issues around protecting voting rights, supporting local officials, trying to modernize an office that I was glad to hear even Secretary Gardner admit today really does need it.
Change may come, but for now, one thing will remain as it has been since 1976. Bill Gardner will be New Hampshire's Secretary of State after one of the wildest days at the State House in recent memory.
It was pretty interesting.
After the win, Secretary Gardner said he never quite knew what it was like when those presidential candidates come down the hallways of the State House with all that fanfare. Now he does. Reporting live in Concord, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. The Bill Gardner error continues. Never try to predict the actions of New Hampshire legislature or New Hampshire politics. On any given day, history can be made, and political history was indeed made last week, Wednesday, at the State House. 8 hours after Secretary of State William Gardner got out of the car in the parking lot behind the State Library at 8 a.m. and walked into the building in which he has worked for 4 decades, he pulled off a dramatic second ballot win to stay on the job for 2 more years. Chris Christie, Trump not totally clear until Mueller hands in the keys. President Donald Trump tweeted Friday that new filings and federal investigations into Russia interference and campaign finance crimes in the 2016 election totally cleared him. But Chris Christie said on This Week that the president is not totally clear. He said, "My view would be that you're not totally clear, nor is anyone, until Bob Mueller shuts down his office and hands in the keys," the ABC News contributor and former New Jersey governor and U.S. attorney told This Week co-anchor Martha Raddatz. Special counsel Robert Mueller recently reached a plea agreement with the Trump's former longtime personal attorney Michael Cohen, in which he pleaded guilty to lying to Congress in exchange for cooperation with the investigation. In addition to new filings by Mueller in the Cohen and former campaign chairman Paul Manafort cases on Friday, the Southern District of New York recommended that Cohen to be sentenced to a substantial prison term for his campaign finance violations. And that does it for Politics with Riley King. I hope you all enjoyed this Sunday's edition of Politics with Riley King. I'll see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics with Riley King. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone, and have a great week ahead of you. Goodbye, everyone.